All right, if you spend any serious time in a command line terminal, you know the feeling. Typing the same long, awkward commands over and over. It's a drag, right? Well, today we're going to fix that. We're diving deep into one of the most satisfying little tools in your arsenal, the alias command. It's all about creating your own personal shortcuts to make your command line life so much easier.
I mean, seriously, think about it. How many times a day do you type out something like get status or ls with that specific set of flags you always use? It seems like a small thing, but that little bit of friction, it totally adds up. What if you could just replace all of that with a quick two-letter shortcut? Well, you can, and we're about to see exactly how.
So the solution to our problem is the alias command. And it's as simple as it sounds. It's just a way to give a long command a short, memorable nickname. So instead of typing out the whole thing, you just type your custom shortcut and hit enter. It's a beautifully simple way to save keystrokes, time, and honestly, a little bit of your sanity. Okay, enough talk. Let's get our hands dirty and actually create our very first alias. This is the fundamental building block for making your command line finally work for you instead of the other way around. And you know what? The syntax is incredibly simple. It's just the word alias, then the name you want for your shortcut, an equal sign, and then the full command you want it to run wrapped up in single quotes. Seriously, that's it. Name equals command. Done. Let's look at a perfect real-world example that I think a lot of you will appreciate. If you use Git, you are constantly typing git commit. Well, with this one little line, alias gc equals git commit, you can replace that whole thing with just 2 letters. And this is the payoff. Look at that. You go from typing 11 characters down to just 2. It might not sound like a huge deal, but when you do this dozens of times a day, those saved keystrokes and the reduced mental load, they really start to make a difference. It's a game changer. Okay, so once you start creating these things, you're going to have a few aliases floating around, and you'll need a way to manage them. So let's take a look at how to view, check on, and even get rid of the shortcuts you've created. We're going to tackle 3 key tasks here. First, how do you see a complete list of all the aliases that are currently active? Second, how do you double-check what just one specific alias does? And finally, of course, how do you delete one you don't need anymore? It's actually super easy. Just type in alias all by itself. We'll spit out everything you've defined. If you want to confirm what our GC alias does, you just type alias GC. And here's a little pro tip for you. Using alias-p lists them out in a format you can literally copy and paste into a config file. We'll talk about why that's so useful in just a minute. What if you made a mistake, or you just want to do some spring cleaning? The command you're looking for is unalias. So to get rid of our little GC shortcut, you just type unalias GC. And hey, if you want to go nuclear and just wipe the slate clean, removing every single alias in your session, you can use unalias-a. All right, we've got the basics down. Now let's get into some of the more advanced techniques. This is where you can really start to unlock the full power of aliases and make them do some seriously cool stuff for you. So here's a question that comes up all the time. You've created this awesome custom alias for a command like ls. But what if, just for this one time, you need to run the plain, original ls command without all your custom flags? How do you get around your own shortcut? The answer is ridiculously simple. You just put a backslash right in front of the command. That's it. So if your ls alias is set up to run ls-la, typing /ls tells the shell, hey, ignore the alias this time, and it'll run the default ls command. It's a quick and easy escape hatch. Okay, this next one is a real power move. In shells like Bash, you can do something called chaining aliases. This means you can actually combine multiple shortcuts on one line to build a brand new command on the fly. It's kind of like programming with Lego bricks. Now, the secret sauce here is all in how we define the first alias. We'll create one called list, but notice how we define it. ls with a space at the end. That trailing space is not a typo. That is the magic ingredient. It tells the shell to keep looking for another alias right after this one. Okay, part 2. Next, we create a second alias. We'll call this one long, and it's just a string of our favorite, most used options for the ls command. And notice, this one does not have a space at the end. And now for the magic trick. When you type list long my file, the shell performs this incredible little dance. It sees list, expands it to ls with that crucial space. Then it sees long and expands that to -fls. The result? The shell executes the full command ls -fls my file. You've just combined two simple shortcuts into one powerful, super readable command. How cool is that?
Now, aliases are awesome, but let's be real, they're not a silver bullet. It's really important to know their limits and to know when you should reach for a more flexible tool, like a shell function. It's all about using the right tool for the job.
Here's the rule of thumb I always use. Use an alias for a simple one-to-one command shortcut. It's a direct replacement. But the moment you need to handle arguments in a complex way, or run multiple commands, or use any kind of logic, that's your cue to switch to a shell function. You can see here how the function gives you much more room to grow.
So what's the bottom line here? Don't overcomplicate it. Aliases shine when they're used for what they're best at. Simple, easy-to-remember abbreviations for the commands you type all day, every day. They are the absolute low-hanging fruit of command line productivity.
Okay, one last tip, and this one is super important. By default, when you close your terminal session, poof, all your aliases disappear. To make them permanent, you need to add those alias definitions to your shell's startup file, something like .bash or .c. That way, all your custom shortcuts will be loaded up and ready for you every single time you open a new terminal.
And that's pretty much the whole shebang. We've covered what an alias is, how to create and manage them, some pretty slick advanced tricks, and even when you should use something else. So now, the only question left is for you. What's that one long, tedious command that you're going to turn into a slick, efficient alias first?